So welcome to NEC's workshop series presentation of Lambs to Slaughter by Khalil Kain. Over the past year, our extraordinary artists have committed to a labor of love to complete the development process of this innovative new work. The creators, Playwright Khalil Kain, Musical Director-Keith Edward Johnston, Dramaturg A.J. Mohammed, and Director-Reginald L. Douglas, committed to a harmonious collaboration to define the brilliance of this work. Phase 2 relied heavily on the actors, Khalil Kain, Nidra Solitaire, Carter Redwood, Imana Breaux, and Stephen Antoine Willis to interpret the poetry, dialogue, and monologues to breathe life into the script. Tonight's presentation will feature Khalil Kain, Carter Redwood, Keith Edward Johnston, and moderated by Imana Breaux. So please sit back and enjoy the making of Lambs to Slaughter. So first up, we are going to have the man himself, the playwright, Khalil Kain. Hey, Khalil. So, I know we're all wondering, what made you write this show, Lambs to Slaughter? And why the name? Why the name?
Imana, hi, how are you? It's great to see you. Thank you, everybody, for coming through to join us for this conversation. Now, this play, Lambs to Slaughter, started some years back. I had just gotten back to New York. I moved to New York from Los Angeles, but I grew up here, so I was coming home. I wanted to do something. I threw an event. I was looking for an organization to help and pass some funds on to. And I found this organization called Harlem Mothers Save. Shout out to Jackie Rowe Adams. I was able to meet her, get better versed with what they do. And what they do is counsel parents, mostly mothers, after they've lost a child to gun violence. They take them through the whole process. The hospital, the funeral, the precinct, court if someone is found and prosecuted, and they counsel the parent as long as they want. They can keep coming. I met quite a few mothers. And since then, over the years, we've checked in and hung out. I go in there now, my picture's up on the wall. Jackie is a wonderful woman, and she's lost 2 of her sons to gun violence. So after hearing some of the stories from these mothers, I felt it was important to get their story out, for their voice to be heard, not just now, but in perpetuity, something that was going to reverberate over time. And for me personally, my journey artistically has always been about a certain amount of freedom and allowing my voice to be open and reverberate. So how do you do that? I've been acting for a long time, and I don't feel the same sort of power and freedom that I do in the writing. So this play started to come out, but then it started to change, and I started to realize that it wasn't so much about just the mothers, but about me. My own personal story. I've lost a loved one, a family member, my first cousin, Dorian Lum, in 1994 to gun violence. He was shot down in the street, murdered. I've never gotten over it. I still haven't gotten over it. The more we got into the process, table reads, workshops, as I'm developing this play, I started to realize more and more this was about my mourning process, about me lightening my own weight that I'm carrying around, and not even realizing that that's something that I need to do. And I think it's important, not just for me to be able to do that as an artist and as a human being, but to be able to get this story out so that hopefully other families, other young people that are walking around carrying a heavy weight of oppression it may help them figure out a way to sort of lighten that load and walk a little freer. I know for a fact, doing this work and getting this play out into the world, I'm walking around healthier. It's been very much an exorcism for me.
I have to agree with that one. I've definitely felt a lot more brighter and working with you and healing through this piece as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate that.
you.
That's lovely. So it's working already. I dig
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes. All right. So I guess without any further ado, you want to get into it? You want to do a little act two? Oh,
Oh, yeah. We're gonna do a scene. We're gonna do a scene from Lambs to Slaughter.
yes.
But you did ask me about the name,
Yes, please.
and the name just came from me walking around in the street and feeling very vulnerable all of a sudden. Being a native New Yorker, growing up on the Lower East Side, and my family moved around a lot. So spent some time in Brooklyn. Please, we lived in Brownsville for a little while. That's the worst ass whooping I ever took in my life. Lived in the Bronx on Arthur Avenue. We uptown in Harlem. So we definitely moved around quite a bit. I couldn't believe it when I came home from LA, how clean the city was and everything, but still I felt more unsafe than I had ever, due to the power structure and the direction we've been going in. Also, all the cameras up everywhere. I didn't feel safer by the cameras. I found that people were acting a little more wild and not as compassionate because, Big Brother was watching. So who's the most vulnerable? We are, Black folks. I mean, when the cops show up, most of the time, our side of the story is not being heard. So not only am I feeling vulnerable from them, but I'm feeling vulnerable all the way around. And then I start to delve into the history of us coexisting here on this land, and the things that were going on in the news, and seeing brothers and sisters being shot down, not only in the street, but in their own homes, in their own beds, sleeping peacefully. There was nothing else that rang louder in my ears than Lambs to Slaughter. The more we try to be peace and kind and compassionate and loving and understanding of the system that we're living under, the more vulnerable it seems we're becoming. Being the age that I am, I've been able to watch, and I really feel like it's not getting better socially, it's getting worse and becoming more dangerous. So that title, Lambs to Slaughter, and considering the story and considering my own experience with my family, Lambs to Slaughter seemed very appropriate, right on the nose as far as where I felt we were at as citizens, lawful citizens.
So did that name just kind of, when you saw your world, did that name just kind of pop up in your head, like as you were walking down the street, or like, I'm so curious.
No, I mean, I've been writing a lot over the last 10 years, I've been writing a lot, quietly, in the lab. And I don't know, I don't understand my process yet. Things do come to me. Lambs to Slaughter came to me. It wasn't something that I sat down and did research and try. This was a title that came, and I listened and kept it. You've done some work with me. It is organic. I just let it happen. The same thing with my acting. It's very instinctive. I work from that place, from my belly, and let it fly and let the chips fall where they may. If I get up on stage one night in front of a live audience and have that moment of magic, I embrace it. I respect it. I fall in love with it. It allows me to take those other steps, but I'm not expecting that all the time. I'm expecting to do the work. I'm a pro, you know, and now officially I'm a playwright. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, I definitely let that name just live, you know.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I mean, I have to say, when we first entered into the workshop, you said this is all you said on this paper, and it was, and even the questions that we could ask you, it just felt so personal, and it felt like, but at the same time, as a collective, we could all feel that and understand that with
But
each
I think as artists, we have to be generous and we have to be honest and we have to be vulnerable. And if we're not um, sharing authentically who we are and what we're about and what we stand for, I think it falls short for an audience. I think they can smell that, they can hear that, they can feel that, you know. So I'm not afraid to tell the truth, you know. I'm gonna let it fly, and I hope that when people come to the theater and see this piece, they understand me better. Um, I'm only gonna have conversations with you know my family, and that's fact. But there are people that, I mean, you don't have to be blood to be family, and people that are fam know who they are, and it is what it is. And we will chop it up and talk and tell the truth, and it's beautiful. Um, but you don't always, you think you know somebody. So I've been in this business almost 30 years now. I've been up on the big screen, I've been on the TV, you know, so people see you and they get an idea of who you are, not who your character is, who you are. I mean, to this day, I hear Raheem yelled in the street. I hear, oh, Donnell, what's up? I'm saying, what's up? And it's all good. That's beautiful. I love it. But they don't really know Khalil. And I think Lambs to Slaughter, when folks go to see that, they'll definitely know Khalil a lot better. Like this is so much more. Like my voice, who I am, my truth, my reality. Like and a lot of this comes from, you know, my own family experience, you know, my people.
Mm. All right, well, Khalil, without any further ado, let's get into it.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna do a scene.
Yeah. What about a scene from Act 2, Scene 4 with
Yeah.
you and Emmett?
And this is what my man Carter Redwood.
Yes,
Now,
with
yes,
Carter
there he is.
and Emmett.
There he is. So for the folks watching, a little background. Carter Redwood and I have worked together before. We did a production of Pipeline at City Theater in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
And Carter,
2018? That was
yeah,
18.
I played Carter's father in that, and what I was just talking about like, you don't have to be blood related to be fam, like, but if you go through it, you know, you get in the trenches together, which we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You know, there's a bond, there's a sticky point. And I talked to him about it when we was in rehearsal, when we were doing the run of the show. I was like, there's something coming up, bruh. There's something coming up. I got something for you.
It's interesting too. I mean, we'll probably touch on this after the scene more, but like what this process has been for me thus far is similar to what that process was, in the sense of there's a certain release that comes in, like working through this script, working through the things that these characters are dealing with. A little bit of fear for me as an actor, because it almost borders on that, like, as an actor sometimes it's like you want to jump because that's when you're most free, but also jumping is scary sometimes. And I think what this piece really touches on for me is I mean, just being a black man in America, a young black man in America, and dealing with, you know, the systems that are in place. And you've written it to the poems and into the scene so well. But for me as an actor, it's just been really interesting because it's so close to home, because it is a part of my experience. It's not the same experience because, you know, the character Emmett I'm about to play is dealing with something a little different. However, we're dealing with the same thing. We're different people dealing with the same thing under this umbrella system that is potentially leading us towards or leading us down a road that we may not want to go down. Um, and that kind of hinges back on the title, Lambs to Slaughter. It's like, how do you break out of the system? How do you beat the system? Where are you headed? And how do you get out of any proverbial trap that may be placed for you? So I think for me in this piece and in this workshop, there's been that feeling of not anxiety, but a little fear, because it's like there you don't know what's going to come up every time we, at least for me, every time I've stepped into this role and into, you know, these scenes as we've been workshopping the piece, as I was in Pipeline, when we did Pipeline, it's like, man, you just never know. You never know.
That hospital scene in Pipeline, every show, like we went out there not knowing like what was going to happen. And sometimes it was really like hectic out there, like the vibe, the emotions that would just come up.
Yeah.
And I love that you just let it go. Like whatever was happening that night, you rode with that. We just were cool with it. We would sit in that.
Yeah.
And it was really,
as opposed to pushing for a performance. Like,
right,
it was
exactly.
Not pushing for like the end result. It's like true, like abandon, true release of not knowing. And I think for me as an actor, I can't really count too. I think Pipeline and then now what we've been working through on this process are the only times where I felt like that fear of like really not knowing. Not it, but it's exhilarating, but also I'm understanding that for me, these characters and this character Emmett that you've written, it's bigger than me. And I think I feel a huge responsibility, as I did playing Omari in Dominique Morisseau's Pipeline, of the story is bigger than me. There are so many Emmets in the world that this story is for. We're sharing their stories, which is also a part of my story. You know, even though I'm not directly dealing with what Emmett is dealing with, I am still Emmett. He is still me. You know, I think I felt a huge responsibility in stepping into this role, but also as I keep saying, is there's that fear of like not knowing. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna tell the truth.
But I tell you, having gone through that experience with you, having shared that stage with you and shared those moments with you, it gave us the opportunity to build trust, not just as artists, but as human beings and as men, that we've carried forward beyond the run of that production. Yeah. I really tried to reiterate and press on young artists how important those relationships are, and that it's an opportunity when you're working with somebody that you respect and that you see something special in, like, do the work, but also build the bond. It's an opportunity, you know, to gain a person. You know what I mean? We don't no, but like normal citizens, 9 to 5, that sort of situation. This is different.
Totally different.
You're like naked, you know, exposed. So I got to see you. You know what I mean? You got to see me, like under pressure, and like here we are again. So it was a positive experience, you know.
Exactly.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see you in this role. Facts, like for real, big facts. Do you have the scene?
Yeah. I'm
do it.
Yeah.
Bet. All right, this is from the second act of the play. This is Act 2, Scene 4. Paul sees Emmett on the street, and they greet each other. It's the month of June. Hey boy, how you been?
I've been good. What you up to?
I'm headed over to see your mom. I'm gonna try and take you to dinner. You hungry? Come with us.
Nah, you go ahead. Three's a crowd. Thanks for the offer though.
It'd be nice, the three of us getting dinner together.
Like a family.
Yeah.
I think just the two of you will serve her best.
Okay.
She's starting to look like her old self again.
At some point, the sun always comes back out to shine.
Seasons do change.
Yes, they do.
When my dad got shot in the park, it was right around this time, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Middle of summer. That was some nasty business. They ain't have to do them like that.
Who's they?
They. That's the question.
What's the answer?
They, them. It's us and them. That's the answer.
Us and them. Who's them?
Figure that out and you can rest safe in the world.
You know who them is?
I have an idea. Not sure though. That landscape tends to shift, change directions like the wind, sometimes red, sometimes blue.
Sometimes black.
You feel safe?
No,
Me neither.
we ain't figured out us yet.
And that's what happened to your father that summer. He didn't have us. No us, you become them. Easy to put a bullet in them. Your mother didn't waste time asking a bunch of questions. She got right to it, found his family, raised some money, buried him. I thought she was gonna crack, but she didn't. At the service, I couldn't take my eyes off her. She was standing there holding you on her hip. She had Lonnie by the hand, the three of you in all black. She looked like she was carved out of mahogany, sanded down, hard, but smooth. Not one tear.
Plenty of tears for Lonnie.
She's still crying.
My father and your son.
Two beautiful men, right up until that part where they was laid out dead in the street.
Joan did right by both of them. She don't deserve to be stretched out in front of all these people like this.
You right, but deserve ain't got nothing to do with it. Some folks got to suffer. Keeps it all in perspective. Keeps the lights bright and the shadows dark.
She suffered enough.
Agreed. Come to dinner.
Nah, give her a hug from me.
I'll give her two.
You love her?
Every day.
Then get her out of here.
Scene.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you. I have a question. And it just came to me just now. I actually have two. So why is Paul sort of hesitant in the beginning to just be, straight up? Why is he using they, them, the use of colors? Like, why? It's almost like he's dancing around giving Emmett the full picture. Why is that? You're muted.
Carter's not, though. Carter, answer.
Oh. I bet.
Plug it in my laptop.
I think Emmett is in a space where it's like he's very curious and he's also like grieving, as are a lot of the characters in the play. And the play really touches on sort of how people deal. How do you coping, right? So I think the relationship between Paul and Emmett is an interesting one in that I think Emmett believes that Paul is good for his mother. But just really quickly, I think just for the audience, for the people who, just to give a little bit more backstory, Paul is Lonnie's father, and Lonnie is Emmett's brother. So we're grieving throughout the play. We're grieving the murder of Lonnie. So the relationship between Paul and Lonnie is an interesting one in the sense where um, it's like this give and take between how much Emmett is willing to yield to Paul, and it's like that. When someone's your father, but they're not your biological father, but they like your father, but they ain't your father, but you don't want them to be your father. But I like it's like I hate that you have information that I want. I hate that you're teaching me things, but also thank you for teaching me these things. So they have kind of a back and forth relationship that we get to really see grow and expand as the play goes on. So in this space and in this scene, I think Emmett is honestly asking who's them, because he is a product of his environment, and he's literally in the neighborhood where so much stuff is happening. He sees the violence. He's adjacent to the violence. He's in the violence, but also he's really smart and on a track that Khalil has so beautifully written, to potentially make it out, right? In terms of he's brilliant, he's smart, he loves science. So as it pertains to, again, this relationship between Paul and Emmett, I think he really is genuinely asking who's them, even though he may be aware of who them is, because he knows it, because he's around them, but he's asking Paul because he trusts Paul. And I think he does love Paul, even though he doesn't always say it, even though he may not say it, and even though he doesn't always show it. There really is um, that sort of dynamic where he definitely looks up to Paul, and Paul is a father figure of sorts to Emmett, whether he would ever actually say that. I think he actually fights against saying it a lot of the play.
This
but
dynamic is very specific to the Black experience, as far as like American citizens of African descent. Now, those single parent homes are not by accident. I mean, like Reconstruction. So the free Blacks, some of the biggest things were trying to find their family members and legalizing their marriages, being able to put a family together. Like, for once, that's something that was like taken away from us. So this play, a lot of what this play is about sort of the protection and restructuring of the Black American family. What that structure looks like. That structure has always been fluid since the time we got here. Now, when we talk about us and them, I think a lot of times we make the mistake of them always being out there as opposed to right here. A lot of the times we are them. Like we need until we learn to, in a very healthy and organic way, embrace us, we will continue to be them. We will continue to be us and them at the same time, which is very dangerous.
That's the sometimes blue, sometimes black line that you wrote.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I had to give, I didn't have to, I agreed to give a speech at a high school some years ago. Packed auditorium. I'm looking at 300-400 kids in this auditorium. And the way I said the opening line to my speech was, how many kids in this room right now come from a single parent home? So many hands in the auditorium went up that like I had to take a moment. I wasn't mentally and emotionally prepared to see all that. It gave me a new understanding of like where we were at in sort of the family dynamic of what we were doing in this country, us as a people, of brown people. I really had to like get my shit together. Like I had to regroup. Like it really washed over me, and the reality of that moment like knocked me down for a minute, but it's real. My mother had me when she was 16 and a half. So there have been fathers and mothers. I got people, you know, grown folks that claim me as theirs, you know, and they get that love and respect because they earned it,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So this dynamic between Paul and Emmett that I've presented in this piece is very alive and well right now, you know, and we need to understand it better, I feel like.
Yes.
And that's the figuring out us. As
Mhm.
you also wrote in the scene, you know, we ain't figured out us yet. We figuring out us.
Man, I mean, how do you, I'll pose this question to both of you. How do you facilitate feeling free walking around in the world on a day-to-day basis?
It changes from day to day for me.
Give me an example of a way that, you know, damn, the fact that both of y'all are like,
You
the
have
perfect
a
example
question
of
because the
how-
only
of
time I
how-
really feel that is in the comfort of my own home with my single mother. Like it is that is where
what's that called? And what's that called? Family.
family. Yeah.
Feel safe and free with your family. Why do you think they took that away from us?
Mm-hmm. To lessen our power, to try and lessen our power.
Yes. But I mean, you get used to it after a while. Like that's the way you get used to living, to existing, to being out there running around on your own, and that's the way this world is. No, it's not. You got people. You have family. You got blood. You got people in the world that love you and care about you and are gonna be fucked up when you're gone. And a lot of times we're not, like, we don't get it. You know, I see a lot of young men going out and making decisions, choices with that not in mind, because that's not, you know, at the forefront of their brain as they're trying to navigate, you know? I've been very lucky to still at this age be breathing and moving around, considering my spirit, you know? My cousin Dorian was not so lucky. My brother Tupac, not so lucky, you know? Lambs, shit.
Well, whew. All right. Well, I think on that note, I'm ready to get into some of the poems. How about y'all?
I'm cool with that.
I
Why do you, Carter, why do you think I utilize poetry in this piece? I'm curious. You being my target audience. Like, for real.
I think the poetry really piques the ear and the conscious in a different way. It is literal music, as you viewers who are with us will see in a second. And the way in which you've structured it all together, it's like you're weaving, you weave like issues that we're dealing with now, that we've dealt with and are still dealing with, into the poetry in a way that, like, you can't run from. The characters can't run from it, and more importantly, the audience can't run from it, because we're utilizing sort of, well, it's like a breakage of the fourth wall, talking to you all who are with us. So that's what I take from it. That's what I get from it, in a sense of it invites the audience into the conversation in a different way, using a different type of music. And speaking of music, that's something we were talking about a lot in the workshop. Is like every character has a sound, and Keith will come on and talk about music a little later. But you know, this is, we're listening to like a symphony or orchestra, a band playing. So I think the poems offer a different sort of it's almost like a vamping, you know, on what the characters are dealing with, as well as what we as a people are dealing with. I mean, like, I think that's what the play really does, is like it's talking about the now. This is not separate from us. This is not us, and this is us. Like, we're talking
Right.
about.
So I did write this play for you, for all those single mothers that you know kept us alive. I wrote it for them. But for me, the poetry was a ticket for everyone else in the audience into the conversation, for them to sort of dive a little deeper in, listen a little closer, and maybe get some information that speaks to them that hadn't been spoken to them as of yet, you know?
For me, the poems bring about more questions.
Yes,
actually.
but that's how a conversation gets
Yeah.
started,
Yeah.
you know, with a
Yeah.
question. So if they can pull a question from one of these poems and get that conversation started, you know, during the break or once they get home or the following week, then I will have done my job. But yes, Imana, we will do. I'm gonna do a piece called "A Wish" from this play.
All right. So are we going with you first, or should we go with Carter Redwood as Emmett?
Carter, what you got?
I got a testimonial.
All right.
All right, you know what? You're right. Let's
testimonial.
Yeah, let's start with Carter
first.
All right.
Out here, preparation don't ever meet opportunity. Opportunity is hoarded by the ruling class community. These streets that we live in don't seem to understand. It's the same three cats making policy on who gives the command on all the shit that's popping from here to Iran. They can stomp on a roach over in Afghanistan, but don't give a fuck about Black Lives Matter in St. Louis, man. That's why my pupils stay dilated on the constant, man. The only priority for the nonsense, man. Was it the light that was shining in my eyes so bright? Or was the powder I was sniffing up my nose too right? At some point, I had to just make up my mind. Take the position I was meant for, stay high and resign myself to a place that was dark but familiar, like white on rice. Or part of my being, like soul on ice. Trapped in the movement, not once, but twice. Huey Newton sans gluten with a Bluetooth device. How that rent gets paid ain't no simple equation. All these variables can fuck up your self-preservation, because you see, the truth, man, the truth is like Kool-Aid. It depends who made it. History is sweet when you let the boss say it. Splashed by red, my eyes don't deceive. Should we cease and desist so the streets don't bleed? 4 white letters let know who's bossing. Can't step past that octagon without the police flossing. That shit say stop, as clear as fresh water. Make a move and get popped like a lamb to the slaughter.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna go straight into you, Khalil.
Yeah. I see. We're running out of time.
Yes. Well, you know, we can go all day, but
so I'm gonna do a piece called "A Wish." Maybe, just maybe, you would see me better in the dark. I know I have become familiar in a most unkind way. Maybe you should close your eyes, sleep, dream for just a little bit. See me in a lush meadow, another language spoken there, a barrier no less daunting than fear, joy on the other side. Still, I persist in dreaming with my eyes open. Can I trust what I see? The next time you pull my future into a warm embrace, please express what love you have to offer. Close your eyes, squeeze, see where it takes you. Maybe we would see better if our eyes were pieces of gold, a valued reflection of what lives inside us all, blinded by beautiful, paying our way with visions. Maybe then we would hear that finely crafted tenor calling out to us all, feeling the comfort afforded by the pain of one last song, golden pictures of grand stories pushed to the wayside. The next time you tell me that you love me, I'm going to close my eyes and hear how important that is to the world. The clock stopping at daybreak. Desperate life brought forth as a mistake. Where does the time fly? Does it hide, or does it just disappear like the back of your hand as you reach for love? I can watch time shimmer and pulse now, like the hearts of man tragically dancing along the outer rim of the sun, a magically burnt bullet from a gun.
I mean, one thing that I do love about these poems that you have put, I think this is the moment where these characters really start to show their vulnerability. I think, you know, when they're doing the dialogue, it's a lot of, you know, hiding and kind of being strong, but these are the moments, like those sweet moments that you see their vulnerability.
We've been workshopping. I really enjoyed the poetry workshop, but what we have not done as of yet is add the band to the poems. So I'm really looking forward to getting with Keith Johnston and jumping into that process. I think it's going to be beautiful.
So speaking of Keith, I think it's time to bring him in, ask him about this process. Where you at, Keith?
I'm here.
Hey, good
Can
to
you
see
hear me?
you. Yes, you look good. You sound good.
Oh man, I'm bubbling right now. All this good stuff. Hey, everybody, anybody on this site right now, this play is a mother, man. I'm telling you, this is something. You know, my man Khalil, bruh. I remember when you first brought it to me. I've been with this thing for a few years now. I played Paul in one of the early versions, a nice little reading, and I had to ask the brother. I said, "Did you really write this?" I was like, "Yo, Khalil, for real, you wrote this? Yo, it's a bad dude, man."
That's facts. You did ask me that.
Yo, I was like, "Come on, you wrote," cause yo, this is one of those plays. The last workshop we did, you know, I had that. I think we were all in tears, you know, because you brought up Sadiq and yeah, man, and the cast is ridiculous. And now I just gotta say, you know, this piece speaks to the complexity of what it is to be a Black man in America, Black woman in America. And, you know, our art is essential, you know, and the beauty of our music was born out of pain because that's our freedom. How do we get through all of this for the past 400 or 500 years? We're fragmented people. We're the orphans of the world. We suffer from an identity crisis, but damn, if we're not royalty, who is? Because the stuff we've come through and continue to grow and rise, and what's on that page is just blow your mind. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all better pack these houses because it's gonna be something. Yeah, so I mean, we're people that make lemonade out of lemons. And, you know, we just talked about the fragmented family. You know, Khalil and I, when we first met, I was like, damn, this brother, we from the same cloth, man. We New Yorkers, you know, I'm born and raised in Brownsville, Brooklyn. You know, I went through some stuff. I lost some good people, man. I know this story, you know, single mom, 4 kids, you know, the whole nine. And so know it well. The thing is, we don't get the truth a lot of, and this piece, man, see, poetry speaks to the unspoken. You know, music speaks to the stuff we can't articulate. And so with my approach to this is like anything else. I don't have a set approach to any project. I'm an artist first. You know, I've started painting, and that's I was born with that, and got into acting to get out of my shyness. But I've been playing music since I was like 11. So I play guitar, bass, piano, you know, drums, percussion, but I didn't go to a conservatory. Like I said, I came out of the hood. I didn't go straight to college. I got a college degree as a grown man. I graduated with my daughter. And yeah, and so, you know, I found my way through, but I believe in the spirit and collective consciousness. And I think what you got here is a lot of like minds that have been called to do this healing ritual. And I think of it as a healing ritual because nobody tells our stories better than we do. And there's too much garbage out there, man. And we got something really powerful here. What really drew me in is that the architect, the playwright, wrote a heck of a dude. You know, we hear the mothers, we know the mothers, we're familiar with it, but we really don't know the heart of a man. And he wrote a man in here that's not perfect, that has a heart, that came through some stuff. And the privilege to play that role and get some insight into it. Yeah, I don't want to give any of the story away. Y'all got to see this piece.
I have a question though for you, Keith.
Yeah.
So I see in this beautiful play that there has to be a synergy between the actor and the music. So how do you find that? How do you go about creating that synergy with each other?
Well, anything I do has to start with a structure, right? A foundation. It's like jazz, right? You got Mary had a little lamb, that's the song, But it could be Mary had a little lamb, little. It's like jazz, right? We take the structure and we riff on it, but it's based on the elements. And so right now we have 4 elements, the 5 elements, right? We got 5 characters. We have 5 characters. The structure basically is the text, the cast, the story, and the director's vision. And so that's what I work with. The other thing is the rhythm, harmony, and melody of the people themselves, right? And how they're delivering the work. Through all the different versions of this piece, the music changed for me. You know, I've done a lot of music direction and not musicals. Like right now I'm directing In the Heights. You know, that's a musical with a heavy score and it's about, you know, songs, but this is a play with music and poetry is music. And so I approach it sort of from a spiritual, metaphysical level. When we walk, it's rhythm, right? When we talk, it's tone, right? When we speak, they're melodies. When we have relationships, those are harmonies or disharmonies. And so I listen to that stuff, right? Every one of us vibrate as a note. You think about 7 colors, 7 notes. And so I listen with my eyes, listen with my heart, listen with my ears, listen with my gut. And that's informing the music. And basically the music is a dance floor for the artist to dance. The music may be a flying carpet to fly. It may be a ladder to climb. It may be a bed to lay on. So I'm not competing, I'm complementing, right? So complementing, so we're talking about scoring, punctuating, inspiring, setting mood, right? Creating tension. And so with that, the process for these workshops is really tuning into the text, the cast, the story, and listening to the director's vision. And so that's going to inform how the music.
Yeah, but I love that you showed up and were part of all of the workshop process, and I could tell you were really listening, paying attention, taking notes, you know.
Yeah.
Your opportunities, Jummy, you're like, I got myself. Now I found Keith because we worked together on a play, and the play we worked together on, he wasn't doing the music. He was acting in this piece. But like you said,
the music, yeah.
Yeah, but like, whoa, that happened a whole nother way. But like he said, we could tell we cut from the same cloth. You know, the vibe was there. Me like, oh, brother, bet.
Yeah.
Now, the cat who was doing the music was not so structured. So we would be in rehearsal and things would kind of change and shift, and one day Keith sat down and played the guitar with this cat and was like just kind of hipping him to like, oh, you know, but we could kind of do this, we can do this, and it would give it a little more structure. And I looked over, I'm like, oh shit, Keith can play. Oh damn, Keith can really play. Oh wow. And then we started chopping up about that. And this is years ago, and I always kept it in the back of my mind. I'm like, all right, now this opportunity happens, and I have to say thank you to NEC, to the Negro Ensemble Company, because as opposed to me coming in as a first-time playwright and then telling me like, this is going to be your musical director, this is going to be your director, this is your cast, sit back, you know, here's your stage man. No, they were like, Khalil, who do you want? I was like, oh, bet. I want Reginald Douglas. I want Keith Johnston. I'm like, yo, like I started nigga Carter Redwood, call my brother up, like, and once they got everybody in the room, then NEC was like, ooh, Khalil, bet. Like, and shout out right now to Reginald Douglas.
Yes.
He's my man. So dope. Like,
yes.
Reggie's my peoples. Like, find your tribe, folks. Find your tribe.
Yes.
Close. Holler at him when it's time. Like, we doing this in such a beautiful.
Oh, man.
I can't wait to hear Keith. I can't wait to get with you on this, bro.
Right. It's all love, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling me, man. I feel privileged and honored to be part of this. I love this play, man. And all its inception, man. From the beginning, man. You know,
all the folks, all the people in my family, all my loved ones that have supported me through the years of writing this work. Thank you so much. And Keith, yo, we about to.
Bruh, yeah, man. And
when you're done directing your play and all the projects you got going right now, you know, let me know when you're done, Keith. Let me know when you're done.
Man, I'm freeing myself up. Because I like that question, how do we get free, man? Music is freedom, poetry is freedom, writing is freedom, acting is freedom, man. This is the most collaborative art form. And, you know, when you have a cast like this, we've been called. Yeah. On a spiritual level, we've been called because there's a collective consciousness that's undeniable, you know? And so, and the cast, man, y'all look like family. It's crazy. It's great. It's crazy. So what I'm gonna bring, Imana, is I'm gonna have some elements. So I'm looking at.
You gonna play something for us?
4 musicians. Well, I'm not gonna share what I've been working on.
All right.
But you know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Remember that?
Yes.
And when we did that play, Khalil, I was playing the drums on the back of a guitar. And I was playing the bass on the guitar. I mean, this is how I work. We'll find the elements. So with this piece, I'm thinking about, you know, I got to have a drummer that plays percussion. You don't always get that. I know several people. I got my dream team too. And so I got 3 sets of 4 musicians. I don't even know what to play, man.
Ooh.
Uh-oh, you gonna sing?
Oh, not this time.
Come on now.
I'm gonna catch you next time on that one, Keith. But thank you for taking us out. We are at time, but I want to get some thank yous in. Khalil, thank you for this piece. Thank you. And Carter, thank you for your artistry, as well as Keith. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you all of y'all for showing up and helping me develop this piece. Thank you to the Negro Ensemble Company for the support. And yo, to my family, y'all know who you are. Y'all always hold me down. I love you deeply.
All right. Love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And be on the lookout for Lambs to Slaughter by Khalil Kain.
April 2022.
April 2022. Say it.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have a great evening. Thank you.
Good night.
I feel like I still have something to offer. It ain't over till the lights go dim. With no spark to jump, so my voice might falter. How I'm feeling about what's fair is irrelevant. With all these bridges to cross, I best get to stepping. See, there's money on the other side, so I take a deep breath in. I let it flow past my heart so the lamb can get the blessing. The jungle be screaming when I open my mouth. You see, my future lies north, I ain't going down south. I heard the truth buzzing when Obama came out. You see, the truth is like Kool-Aid. It depends who made it. History is sweet when you let the boss say it. Splashed by red, my eyes don't deceive. Should we cease and desist so the streets don't bleed? I see 4 white letters, lets me know who's bossing. Can't step past the octagon without the police flossing. The shit say stop, it's clear as fresh water. Make a move and get popped like a lamb to the slaughter. Preparation don't ever meet opportunity if opportunity is hoarded by ruling class community. The streets that I live in don't seem to understand that it's the same 3 cats making policy on who gives the command on all the shit that be popping from here to Iran. They can stomp on a roach over in Afghanistan. So they ain't sweating Black Lives Matter in St. Louis, man. My pupils stay dilated on the constant, man. The only priority was for the nonsense, man. Was it the light that was shining in my eyes so bright? Or was the powder I was sniffing up my nose too right? At some point, I had to just make up my mind. Take the position I was meant for, stay high and resign to a place that was dark but familiar like white on rice. A part of my being like soul on ice. Trapped in the movement not once but twice. Huey Newton sans gluten with a Bluetooth device. How that rent gets paid in a simple equation. Those variables can trip up your self-preservation. The truth is like Kool-Aid. It depends who made it. History is sweet when you let the boss say it. Splashed by red, my eyes don't deceive. Should we cease and desist so the streets don't bleed? 4 white letters, let me know who's bossing. Can't step past the octagon without the police flossing. The shit say stop, it's clear as fresh water. Make a move and get popped like a lamb to the slaughter, to the slaughter, to the slaughter, to the slaughter, to the slaughter.